Well, welcome everyone. I am Joanne Geer. I'm the Executive Director for the Westchester Biotech Project. We launched in 2017 with the intention of developing programs to support researchers, data scientists, and engineers in the Westchester County, New York region. Through all that process, we have made friends with a lot of different organizations. And what you're going to hear about today is coming through our career consortium, where we are entering an initiative. We've been doing this for a while to be able to think about how do we support tomorrow's life science workforce. Would you go to the next slide, please? So today we're going to talk about how you create an internship in your company. We have a little change of order here. Unfortunately, Nini Fan is not able to join us today. We will reschedule her. She's a great example. She's running a young company and is using interns in many different parts of her company, including research, including regulatory, including legal, including even things like manufacturing and clinical research and so on. So, hey, Steven, it's nice to see you. Welcome. So we are going to hear first from Carla Romney. After I speak for a few minutes, we're going to hear from Carla Romney and Ray Houston, who are the co-chairs of our career consortium. And then hopefully we're going to hear from Annette McLaughlin at length. She had some challenges this morning too. So we may be an intimate conversation, but I'm looking forward to it. Fritz is on deck, and we're going to have a great conversation with him as well. Would you please go to the next slide? So essentially we're about looking for ways that we can be supportive in general to biomedical progress by supporting our community of researchers, data scientists, and engineers, and those who love them. Go ahead, please. Our major programs include the Career Consortium that you'll hear more about in a minute, our data analytics hub that includes a consortium on translational research in the microbiome, and Blueprint 2030, which is a very cheeky initiative for a little organization like ours. We actually started it in 2019 because we didn't see anybody looking to really think that far ahead. And what's been nice about that is it has helped us to focus on this initiative around the workforce. And in parallel, one of the huge gaps in our region is move-in ready lab space for growing companies. So those coming out of incubators and the expansion phase. So you'll be hearing more about that over time, but that's what's come out of this Blueprint 2030 initiative. Next slide, please. We work with a lot of wonderful partners. You're going to get to know Montero today. We very much welcome, if you'd like to partner with us, we are very happy to chat with you about that. Each of these relationships is, some of them they've provided speakers, sometimes they provided space for us, and these are the kinds of folks we bring into the conversation as we create our ongoing programs. Would you go to the next slide, please? These are some of the upcoming events. The program we're doing next week we have a whole clinical research cohort, and this program on accessibility and disability in clinical research is really strong. Two really strong speakers who can address the global issues as well as some very specific issues on how to work with people with disabilities and make sure they get into clinical trials. The microbiome program is a monthly program. We have great speakers each month and a roundtable similar to today. And then the next meeting of this group, this roundtable, will be a charrette on the lab of the future. And we're inviting some builders, and we'll be doing a cost exercise and what does it take to build a new lab, and tying that back to what kind of workforce do you need to plan for. And this innovation and research on the 22nd of March, this is our annual conference. And this is our fifth time doing it. And it's kind of a kumbaya. Everybody show each other what you're doing. It's going to focus on breakthroughs in maternal health, and will include, like many of our programs, both science and development process and commercialization. So we have some great speakers lined up for that. All of these are on our website, and you can register for them today. To go to the next, and here we go. I'm going to hand it over to Carla, and you can stop sharing for a moment, Matt, while Carla introduces the Career Consortium.
So good morning, everybody. It's great to be with you and to see everybody. At least where I am today, we're going to hit the 60s and have high winds. And so it's kind of a crazy day. I think in general, I think we're having a lot of that now. And maybe we all need to sort of turn our attention a little bit more as we start to think towards the future about how we can address this from a biomedical perspective too. I think it's going to be a challenge. But I met Joanne and Michael Welling, the co-founders of the Westchester Biotech Project. It seems unbelievable, but it was 5 years ago now. Hard to believe. And this is really a labor of love for me, and I think for most of the people who are involved, in terms of really trying to think about what it takes now and what it will take for the future to build a sustainable biomedical science workforce for the Hudson Valley area, Westchester in particular, and even more broadly tapping into the expertise from around the world. And certainly having Fritz with us today really drives that point home, about how we build talent, how we nurture talent from the earliest stages, even in the pre-college world, into undergraduate, graduate, and postdoctoral training. And one of the key pieces of that certainly is internships. And that's the genesis, I think, in short, for why and how today came about, is really trying to think about the key role that internships play in getting and promoting students who have an interest in the life sciences workforce. The Career Consortium, through the Westchester Biotech Project, really grew out of an interest and a recognition that as a community, broadly writ, we need to do more to connect academia, industry, policymakers, and starting to bring people together to really think together about how we can build that workforce that we need. And through the Career Consortium, as Joanne mentioned, we've put together this series of roundtable conversations that brings together people from a wide variety of backgrounds, from students and learners at early stages, parents, in people working in industry, people working in academia, and just honestly interested other individuals. Brings people together to really think about how we can do this. And that's really the joy behind this. From one of the very first meetings, and the first time I met Ray Houston, who I'll introduce you to in a few moments, one of the major issues has been developing and thinking about how to develop an understanding of lab skills. And collaboratively with a bunch of leaders from a variety of the educational institutions and industry in the Westchester area, we've spearheaded an effort to create a certificate program offered right now through Westchester Biotech Project, but hopefully we're hoping that will, after we piloted it in its entirety post-COVID, if there is such a thing as post-COVID, or maybe endemic COVID, I don't know. We have to come up with a term for that. But to really try to see if we can offer that as a bona fide academic certificate program through Westchester Community College and perhaps through the SUNY system as well. But we are piloting, so that certificate has 5 components to it: lab notebooks, safety in the laboratory, sterile technique, an introduction to clinical research, and the drug discovery process. And we piloted so far the non-laboratory based elements of that, and we are targeting mid-May for an on-site. Hopefully conditions will permit us to do that. at Westchester Community College in person to run the whole certificate in a couple of condensed days, where students can actually get into labs and actually practice, that learn what sterile technique is, get their hands in a lab, learn what lab safety looks like by looking at labs and really trying to understand some of the issues and challenges there. So the website has a lot of information about that. It would be great if people start to spread the word. We are, again, optimistic that this will be in person. And, obviously we're keeping our eyes, as I'm sure everybody is right now, on what's going on with COVID. But this has been a long-awaited culmination of a lot of work by a lot of people from a lot of organizations to get us to this point. And it's exciting to finally have concrete, dates on a calendar that we may, and COVID numbers that look like it might actually be possible to make it happen. So stay tuned for that, updates about that over the next couple of months. I think I'll stop there. Before I yield the floor, I want to introduce my co-conspirator in crime, Ray Houston, who is the Dean of the College of Science and Mathematics. Engineering isn't in the title, though. But College of Science and Mathematics.
It's all in there.
It's all in there. Mathematics, science,
it's all in there.
Engineering at Westchester Community College, and my partner in crime. So Ray,
thank you
for everything.
Thank you so much, Carla, and good morning, everybody. Like Carla said, I am the Dean for the School of Mathematics, Science, and Engineering, so it's all in there at Westchester Community College. I took over this position in January of 2018, so just over 4 years. It's a little weird for me to say that. I've been at the college. This is my 13th year at WCC. I was in the math department before I transitioned over to the dean's position. And one of the first things I was asked to do as dean was go to this meeting, this very early in the morning meeting, which Carla and Joanne know I am not a morning person. But my boss said, I would like for you to go to this meeting. And it was Westchester Biotech Project at the Fordham location in Westchester. And we were doing a roundtable similar to this, and we were just going around the room. And I had just had an experience in one of my lab spaces when I was on a tour. And I said, okay, there's loose hair, there's fire, all this stuff is going on. And, the faculty are trying to explain to students why that's a problem. And, and so it kind of, the lab safety certificate kind of grew from just that basic conversation. So lots of really cool things can happen from an introductory conversation, kind of like what we're doing today. One of the things why I think the internship concept is important is that a lot of our students often have a problem connecting the dots between what they're doing in the classroom and how it's going to apply over into the workplace. And we have a very good career services department, and I'm glad Annette is here because she's going to talk about how that works for her students at Fordham as well. And one practical aspect or one practical thing they can do is internships, getting that hands-on experience so they can really translate, what they've been learning in the classroom into what we call what the real world is. And so what's important for that is the development of relationship with companies. Companies have to be willing to take on students for internships. And so I think this conversation is really important because it helps folks realize, how to go about creating an internship, making yourselves available for higher ed institutions to be able to place students. And so they can get that experience and really train them, the way they need to be trained, because another part of the disconnect comes with, industry saying students aren't necessarily having the skills that they need at their particular companies. Well, an internship allows them to show this is exactly what I need you to be able to do. It gives students that experience that they might not necessarily get in the classroom. So I'm looking forward to the conversation. I'm going to stop there. I'm going to turn it back over to Joanne so she can introduce Annette.
Thank you. Thank you, Ray and Carla, and thank you, Annette. So, Annette, I adore you. We can't do anything about interns without you. And I will share only that I bought a house about 6 months ago and I moved in this week. So that's why I haven't been hounding you every week to join us today, but amazing things come together when you least expect it. So I'm confident that I can put you on the spot with a key question and we'll have some fun hearing your perspectives. So Annette runs the Career Center at Fordham, has been a great supporter. In fact, she brought Carla to us in the beginning. And what we'd love for you to talk about, Annette, is about what you do at Fordham, how the programs work, and how you work with companies that might never have had an internship before and hold their hands through the process and help them figure out how to actually do it. And then we'll be hearing from Fritz Handtke from Montero Language Services, and we'll talk about how they run internships in their organization. So Annette, welcome. Thank you. Take a breath, take your time, and we're listening to your story now. Thank you.
Thank you so much. I am so pleased to be here, Joanne, Carla, Ray. And Ray, I am at the Westchester campus today, so bringing it full circle from 2018. It's really great. So really thrilled to be here and answer any questions you might have. Ray and Carla laid it out perfectly. Students need experiences and connections, and they need to be able to articulate and translate these skills for a potential employer. And so you as employers creating opportunities for these experiences and creating these certificates where they can show that they've accomplished and have these competencies. One of the things that we're seeing, across all skill levels are these cred degrees and or badges, and you've all seen them on LinkedIn. You can, LinkedIn Learning, you can take the courses. This is something that's going to continue. It's not going away. So anything that we can do to help our students have those skills is very important. So as an employer with internships, you need to figure out whether you have a budget to pay or unpaid. Unless you're a nonprofit, you really need to pay them because there are a lot of different reasons for that, but you're going to get more value and not put yourself in an awkward position. Also, we've seen the trend, now more than 70% of internships are now paid. There were some legal issues about unpaid internships back in, it's been a while now, 2010 or so, 12, but try to find a budget. Try to find someone within your organization, what 15 to 20 an hour is right within the ballpark. So, depending if you're New York area, so look at your location and what works. And we can help you. Your career centers can also help you figure out how to budget it. So number one, identify what the actual skills are going to be. Be very clear with communication. This generation wants immediate feedback. They don't want to wait till the end of the internship. I recommend having a weekly meeting, to set up what the expectations are. Ideally, if you can also start with the end in mind, if you can tell the intern, by the end of this internship, these are the 4 bullet points you're going to be able to put on your resume. And we'll help you write those and help you quantify them. Lay it out so that they can see the value within. In addition, if you can, many smaller companies or many companies in general may have internships, but they're not going to lead to full-time opportunities in that role. Be clear and direct. This is an internship. Unfortunately, we don't have the opportunity to transition. However, we're going to help you connect. We're going to help you get the experience, and we're going to help you connect to those people that may have full-time opportunities. So if you can build their network, build their skill set, they can have a tangible result, then it's a win-win-win all the way around. So that's, it's write up the job descriptions. There are many different ways to find it. A lot of colleges and universities have Handshake as their career management portal. And so you can post it on there and have it. One of the things we are seeing for employers that you need to understand, if you don't have a recognizable brand, and if students don't know who you are and what you do, you have to put effort into it. And the career centers will offer information sessions, career chats, panels. So as an employer, get yourself out there in front of this talent so that you can actually connect. and get the word out. Because otherwise, if it just stands up on Handshake, you may get 0 applicants. And it's not that there aren't students that want that job and need that job. They just don't know that you're there. And as all the career centers, we're all strapped for resources and the individual counseling. So having us walk through every single student can be challenging. So the more you can get brand recognition, the better and more successful you're going to be in attracting the talent. And this generation wants to know what's in it for them and what's going to be the value. And that value proposition is all of the things I talked about. If they can have this so that they can put it on their resume, if you can connect them to 3 or 4 people, if you can get them associated with associations and or websites and blogs that are going to build their career path, that's what they're looking for. And then, we can help them translate and articulate as well. Joanne, I just did like kind of a big overview and dump, but ask, or anyone else ask questions,
I'll give you I'll give you a little prompt, and then we'll hear from Fritz, and then we'll have our roundtable, get everybody involved. So I think that sounds like a good framework, and it's interesting, the perspective of that you have to sell yourself to interns, right? And that sounds like that might be kind of a shift in whatever many last years, but that's interesting. Can you share, you don't have to name any companies, but just to give an idea of the kinds of internships that you've been able to set up for science, students in the sciences, whether in large organizations or small organizations, just to kind of help our community hear a little bit about what those internships might actually look like.
Right. So we've done internships with a lot of the companies. Regeneron, we've had some luck there and some success with that. But the smaller startups and biotechs as well, this generation is also very much into entrepreneurships, entrepreneurs and helping, and that's another thing, the purpose. They want their purpose-driven life as well. So some of the clinical jobs are a little bit more challenging. So you have to make sure you've got it has to be connected to the curriculum. So you need to be working very closely with the academic departments, and with clinical types of roles, a lot of times there are contracts, and there has to be a program manager that's making sure that they're meeting the academic requirements. So that's another challenge. And if you have that, you're going to have contracts, and that has to go through legal, and that's a long process. And now that we have COVID, there are new COVID protocols for interns. So it's another layer that you have to go through. So I haven't been as directly related. I actually have a STEM employer relations person that's working directly now with our STEM, and I've kind of pulled back from being in charge of that. So I don't have as much up-to-date on specific internships. Carla might even know more, with her time here at Fordham as well. So hopefully that clarifies some of it, but it's they're doing a variety of different things, and the other piece is doing lab work and research work on campus.
Okay.
And on the campuses. That's another key area, and fellowships where they also find that experience.
So there might be opportunity for people to find each other if companies can get involved with something like, actually I'm interested in what the fellowship is, but when I imagine that they might be able to become mentors without necessarily bringing somebody inside the company, just as a way to get to know you and get to know students and get to understand, because there's a lot of alignment that has to happen. And one of the things that I like about our organization is if we think something's a good idea, we can just do it because we don't have any red tape. However, that's not the same for everybody. And if there's opportunities to kind of get to know each other so that the companies start to see that it could be worth it to take that long drive to set up an internship, I think would be interesting. Do you want to just talk about what a fellowship is at your at Fordham?
So fellowships you have to go through the application process, and they're funded, and they're very specific grant-funded opportunities. And you have to align what you want to do and the student wants to do, and it's, and our academic side handles more of the fellowships.
Okay, so it's sort of like what a postdoc does, but it's at a at an earlier stage. That's great. I would like, thank you so much, Annette. I appreciate that background, and it's great to see you. And we're going to be coming to see you in person before too long. I feel a thaw coming on.
Please, and we just moved too. We just opened our brand new career center for Cure Personalis. It's open. We're there. Come visit. It's amazing. So we're still working out kinks, but it's a beautiful facility that was designed for connecting with employers. And we've got 10 interview rooms with glass that changes, from see-through to privacy, and conference rooms and opportunity, big open space for the students and networking with employers. So please come visit.
And that's on the main campus?
It is. They added the campus center to the front of our McGinley Center. Okay. And so it's a brand new building. We're on the second floor. And it's really beautiful.
Well, that's nice. Well, maybe we'd like to come with 50 of our closest friends. That would be nice. Beautiful. Thank you, Annette. So Fritz Handtke has been a wonderful partner to us for some years now, which is pretty wonderful. Fritz, I'm going to let you basically talk about yourself, but I just want to say a little bit about partnering with us. So Fritz has been, Montero has made a commitment. There was first a 1-year commitment. Now that's been extended out for 2 more years to help us grow, but also to help reach those who are interested in translation and localization. And we're doing that in a number of ways. We're doing some social media campaigns. We invite Fritz to speak frequently, and he's got a wonderful team that has been doing programs for us, both in clinical research area and also in intellectual property. So I'm going to let you take it from there, Fritz, but I welcome you to be here and appreciate. Fritz is in Madrid, so he's in a different transition of day than we are, but there you go, Fritz. Welcome.
Thank you very much, Joanne. Good morning, everyone. Thanks for the introduction. Talking about our partnership, yes, it lasts I think almost for 3 years now. I think together with Joanne and Michael, we found the right way to support each other. And I strongly believe that we may benefit from each other in the near future as well. Our company is, you may ask, okay, a language services company talking about internship. What is this about? Montero Language Services is a company, mid-sized company, based in Spain. We have an office in the States as well. And it's 17 years now on the market. And it has been operating always in, let's call it niche channels. The background is intellectual property. And we stepped into life science as a second pillar. So this is all about. We care about translation, interpreting, transcription, or even transcreation, which is a translation with a kind of marketing, let's say, mentality. So it's a little bit different from a literal translation. Internship for us, and you will see it within the presentation, I've got only 3 charts here, is tremendously important to us because our model is in-house. That means we have 52 persons, 38 of them are translators. And when I say translators, I'm talking about translator with a double PhD. Most of them have a scientific title and later on a translator title. Because when you talk about patents in intellectual property or translations which are difficult in terms of technical terminology, you need to understand the background, the content first, and then you may translate it. Next chart, please. So Montero, since years, has been an active player on the market regarding internships. But I suppose already listening to the comments from the speakers before me, that maybe it's a little bit different in Europe or in Spain as in the States. And let's go through it. There's a basic requirement, which is a special agreement, which we need to have with the Social Security as a certified company for skilling professionals. So this is a basic requirement. If you're not certified by the Social Security, you cannot go forward. The second requirement is an official agreement, which is always required between the university. This can be, unless the career, it can be a life science career, let's say a scientific career, or a translator career. We are talking about a career which is normally in Europe between 4 and 5 years. So both of them, within their career, need to do some practical experience, which normally takes place 2 years or latest 1 year before they finish. I say university, but I say companies as well. There are companies which integrate translators, but they are not, let's say, well skilled, maybe in terms of languages, but not technical skill in terms of CAT tools in order to gather memories. All right? The timing of the internship will be fixed. Our average is around 5 hours in total per student, which normally takes between 3 and 4 months. Most universities want it to be fixed within 3 months. So this one we have to respect. The cost is also fixed between the university and the employer. And it's sometimes a surprise. Some of the universities, private universities, will not allow us to pay for the stage. They say, just as first, it's included in our program, they will have to do it, and they will have to do it for free. Okay, next one, I think is the last one already. Just in terms of some figures, how important internship is to us in Montero. Since 2018, we had 19 internships, and we got 5 people hired, which is 20%. I think this is a pretty high standard on average, at least for a translation company. On average, I told you before, it's about 500 hours per student. And we keep being very active on the market because the results are obvious. We need this kind of people between, I would say, 21 and 24 years age. We need them to be integrated later on because we sometimes face difficulties to find people on the market. And I'm not talking only about Spanish or local people. I'm talking about people coming from Portugal. I'm talking about people coming from French universities. Unfortunately, I don't know why it doesn't work. We got some problem with the British universities. So this is about my presentation. I think it's a good example. It's not directly related to clinical research or whatever it is. It's completely different stuff, but we are very active in internships. Thank you very much.
Well, thank you, Fritz. Ray, I'm going to hand this off to you. And can I ask one question of Fritz before you take over? It's just, and you can stop the sharing now, Matt. Thank you. So, and Fritz, can you just give us a little bit more information about what those interns actually do at Montero? Are they, I know that you have multiple steps in translations. Do they engage in all of them, or is there sort of a place where they begin typically?
It depends on, let's say, the kind of people it is. At some universities, they are skilled at least at a minimum for technical skills. So those ones, having already some technical skills, can be integrated into our translation procedure. But that means they will not translate by themselves. There will be a revisor, and for each person, we have got a mentor, let's call it like this, to drive them through this process about the 500 hours. Other people which haven't got any technical skills will be starting in the technical department.
Ah, okay. And by technical skills, do you mean like intellectual property skills, or do you mean, what do you mean by technical skills?
Technical skills, I mean by the recent technology which is used for translation based upon CAT tools and so on.
Thank you.
Computer-driven memories, and this is very important. We translate more than 100 million words a year, so we have to make it easy.
Well, thank you. And every time I hear you talk, Fritz, I learn more about what your organization does, and I appreciate that. So thank you.